Joining us on this broadcast is Bruce Harrison, who's joining us live from Seoul. Bruce, is this the dreaded second wave that the world has been looking out for and preparing for, or this localized outbreak of infections? But this is the biggest spike that South Korea has seen for close to 2 months now.
That's right, but the biggest spike since April, so it's definitely alarming, but I would stop short of saying it's the second wave people have been dreading. The government has managed infection clusters of this size before. We saw them do it in April with a call center, and they are hoping through contact tracing and testing and then isolation they can bring this under control. That's why they've set this window of roughly 2 weeks, hoping these numbers will fall. But the government has suggested or believes that this may be linked to that nightclub outbreak you mentioned, Shobit. And if that's the case, it's quite obvious that the virus is within the community and, fears that it's spreading beyond these locations. We know that a lot of those clubbers went back to their homes, some living in other cities in South Korea where they spread it to family and friends. So it's unclear exactly how far the virus has spread related to this latest outbreak at this warehouse west of Seoul. But while the numbers are alarming, like I said, this doesn't necessarily indicate a second wave's coming. Seoul is taking these stricter quarantine steps, hoping to bring this under control, and then they can perhaps ease some of those social distancing measures once again.
Right, so South Korea is taking preventive measures like you mentioned, Bruce, but South Korea has been a success story so far in the battle against this pandemic, and recently, a huge amount of students were allowed to return to school. It was high school seniors earlier, now kindergarten and middle school students were also allowed to resume school. So is that process ongoing, or that has also been put on hold at the moment in view of this new outbreak?
A lot of everything that's happening right now revolves around the schools. They are going to stay open. The students that have returned will continue going to their offline classes. It's interesting saying that offline, but that's just compared to online when they were studying at home. Now they're back in the classroom. And the government's going to continue by phases to introduce younger students from high school down through the end of this month and in early June. The reason they're taking these strict measures right now is because they want to keep the schools open. That's a big part of it. Obviously, you want to stem the spread of the virus for the public and across the country. But if it continues to grow, they're going to be forced to shut the schools down. And the education atmosphere here in South Korea is very intense. And parents and educators are already panicked because kids have had to miss so much class already. Thinking about backtracking is not something anyone wants to consider. So if the numbers haven't fallen by June 14th to a level they deem safe for ease social distancing, which is 50 or fewer cases within a 24-hour period, we're going to see these schools shut down. So it's very, very crucial 2 weeks right now based on what the government's doing.
Absolutely. Bruce Harrison, thank you so much for joining us live from Seoul on South Korea's battle against this new spike of infections.